Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing The Curse of Rydge House by E.D.Lewis. E.D.Lewis is a fellow booktuber and I knew about his book, and I have a list of all the books that I want to read by authors and small authors or unknown authors, you get the point. But for some weird reason I kept on forgetting to put this book on that list. So this month I thought, okay, I'll just bypass the list. I will download it on my Kindle, because you can get it on Kindle and paperback, and I will give it a read. I don't really, I wouldn't say get on with gothic horror. It's not really my speed and pacing of the book. But if you like stories such as Frankenstein, Dracula and Rice, then I would definitely recommend E.D.Lewis. Where he's up there to that caliber, I will let you guys be the judge on that, but I think that he's definitely worth a read. So, a little bit about E.D.Lewis. He is, of course, a fellow booktuber. He talks about horror most of the time, but he does talk about other stuff as well. And I really like his channel, and I would highly recommend that you go and check him out. I will have his channel on the screen somewhere, and the link will be down below in case you want to check him out, which I highly recommend that you do. So before I get into the story, I just want to say that this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this, and this is going to be a spoiler-free video as well. So, The Curse of Rydge House. You may think from the title, or I certainly did, that it's a ghost story or a book about a haunted house. It sort of is and sort of isn't. We follow our main character called Brina. Hopefully I've pronounced that right, I have done my best. She is a really innocent character. She's such a sweet and nice person. And she wants to get out of her comfort zone by doing all the predictable things that people think that she is more comfortable with, doing. And she gets a job at a mansion called Rydge House, and she gets a job as a secretary for the owner of this house called Miss Richards. Now, at the start of the book, she's making her way to Rydge House, and everyone's telling her, oh, that family is really weird in that house. But when she gets to Rydge House, it's a massive building, it's like a mansion, and the family, yes, they do seem a bit out there and a bit odd, but they like to keep to themselves. They don't really like to socialize and go outside. They're not really weird, they just know what they like, and they like to keep themselves to themselves. But to Brina, they are very nice. They aren't ever horrible to her. Yes, there are scenes where all these weird and creepy things happen, but she's never really put in any danger. We actually see all the members of the family as well as some members of the staff, which are like servants and maids, and there is a gardener slash handyman which has an assistant, which I really liked him. He was like a real, I wouldn't say grumpy old man, but more of a hermit. He was more likely to stay in the shed in the garden rather than being anywhere else. And of course there are some members of this family which seem more weird than the others, but overall they embrace her with open arms. And when she's exploring the mansion, either by herself or she's been guided around there by a member of the family, she sees this strange suit of armour. I think it's at the top of a flight of stairs, which is just standing there. And at first it just seems a bit of like a bit of a decoration. But Brina thinks that this suit of armour is looking at her and is following her. And throughout the story we hear, or she thinks that she hears, all these metal footsteps and all these weird noises at night outside of her room, and when she investigates it, there's no one there. But this suit of armour is explored. There is a story behind it where it's kind of implied that it is there to protect members of the family and the house as a whole. But when the members of this mansion bought it, they thought that it was just like a silly superstition. They probably just thought it looked cool. But if you read this book, guys, keep in mind that there's more to that suit of armour than meets the eye. There is more to it. We do find out about the Curse of Rydge House. Does it have a big implication to the story? Is it important to the plot as a whole? Yes and no. It is an important part of the plot, but it isn't extremely important, if that made any sense. So as the story goes on, Brina has to uncover what's going on, the secret behind the curse and these mysterious noises outside of her room, and that's pretty much what the story is all about. Because it's a gothic story, it isn't overly gory, it isn't gory at all. It's more creepy and atmospheric than anything else. And I thought it was more of a slow burn. The pace was real slow and steady. It didn't drag at all, but it was more of a slow pace read. If you read any other gothic story, then you know what I mean. But I thought that this was an interesting story. E.D.Lewis has written other stuff as well. I'm pretty sure this might be his first novel. I know he's written numerous things which I am interested to read. And he has written a story in the Lurking in the Dark anthology, which I am super excited to get round to. His writing style is really easy to read. The only complaint that I will have about this book is not really E.D.Lewis's fault. Because I read it on Kindle, there were numerous times, well, quite regularly, that there was, I wouldn't say a spelling mistake, but there was a word in the story that was used wrongly, like such as the word the when it was supposed to be they or their, that type of stuff. And it wasn't like there was any spelling mistakes in this book. Well, apart from the fact that there was two occurrences that I found that Rydge in Rydge House was spelt with an I instead of a Y. When I was reading this, there were numerous times in the book where there was a word that was used wrongly, and it made me stop and think, okay, what is that word supposed to mean? And then, okay, cool, I actually know what this word's supposed to mean. Okay, I'll carry on with the story now. So it was kind of like I'm going at my own pace, and then, okay, I've got to stop because I need to figure out what this word is supposed to mean, and then go on. Hopefully I've explained myself properly. As I said, I don't think that this is E.D.Lewis's fault. I think it might be a fact that there is kind of an editing problem with the Kindle version, and I would highly recommend that E.D.Lewis would just have a look at the Kindle version and just go through it with an editor and a proofreader and correct all these mistakes. It didn't really affect my overall enjoyment of the story, but as I said, it did take me out of it whenever I came across them words. And just to echo back, they weren't spelling mistakes. They were words that were spelt correctly, so a spell checker wouldn't have picked up on it. But it was the wrong word to use in that sentence. I'm not really sure if this is in the printed version or the physical version, but in the Kindle version it was definitely in there. So that was the only thing that I really didn't like about this story. My other complaint that I thought about is that, well, criticism rather, is that I thought that there were too many characters. There were times in this book where I forgot who characters were, but I suppose that's just a me thing. So overall, I'm going to rate The Curse of Rydge House a 3.5 stars out of 5. So overall, I am really pleased that I read this book. Was it the best thing ever? No, it wasn't, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was just a real comfortable read which you can read in the evening with a cup of tea or coffee and just relax. But I'm really intrigued to see what else E.D.Lewis has got to offer and to read his other stuff as well. So please let me know if you've read this book. What did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you intrigued to read this book? Have I maybe inspired you to pick it up and give it a chance, I would highly recommend that you do. And it's a wonderful way to support a fellow booktuber. This book isn't at all expensive, you can get it really cheap. So as I said at the start, I will have E.D.Lewis's channel linked down below, so I would highly recommend that you go and check him out. And he's just a real interesting channel and a real down-to-earth channel. So guys, that's all I had to say. So yeah, with all that out of the way, I will see you in my next one. Bye.